Hello friends, thank you for tuning in to I Paint You by Brie. Today we're doing an asymmetrical galaxy face paint. I'm going to be starting with my one stroke global palette and a sponge actually, holding it sideways there with the end hanging off. I'm going to go up and down, and you can really choose any color that you want. I chose this one because it ended there with purple and it would be a good transition to blue and black. So I'm kind of doing just half of the sponge with those colors together. And that helps give that nebula effect with the gradient. And then I'm loading up with some dark blue first at the end of that next to the purple, and then at the very tip is going to be some black. So there's a nice beautiful gradient there of many different tones. I'm going to start in the corner of the eye, just adding that blue, and yeah, just starting to lay down those colors. Pouncing the sponge is the best way to get those colors onto your skin. Dragging leaves funky lines, and we don't like funky lines. I kind of had an idea of the space, the way I wanted to use the space on my face, and the shape of the design. So that's why it's a little curved there. I want it to be kind of like a half moon, a half crescent on one side of the face, and I'm going to be doing a little bit different, almost like a butterfly shape on the other side, you'll see. So just I like to put down the color on one side and flip the sponge so that the two colors, the tones that are most similar, they meet, and then it continues that gradient look. So that's a nice way to have a transition from colors to colors. All right, continuing my little crescent look there. And to be totally honest, I haven't done this face paint before. I just had the idea and thought I would make a video of it. So it's far from perfect, and I don't like the word perfection. I'm not about that life. I think that there is no such thing as perfection in art, and that's the beauty of it. It's not about perfection, it's about expression. So make sure that you can express yourself through your art, through your face paint. So that you can find joy out of it, because if you're always striving for perfection, it's never going to happen. Like, there is no such thing. So just embrace that. Embrace the fact that it's going to be different every time, that sometimes mistakes happen, happy accidents happen, and that's great, and that is actually desirable. How boring would it be if everything was like a printer? We're not printers, we're people. And we're people who can make beautiful things that are not perfect. All right, so that's kind of the base of the design there. And it looks splotchy and it looks crazy and weird, but that is the point. I love the combination of the colors, the blue to the pink to the purple to the blue to the black. Like, it makes me really happy. When I paint canvas paintings of galaxies, I like to use that combination for my galaxies. All right, so loading up a sponge with some white, pounce, pounce, pounce onto the color itself, and then I like to always test it on my hand to make sure it's coming out good. This is for a stencil. We're gonna lay down a stencil of stars. This is a BAM stencil, and yeah, just starting on the tippy top there. You want to really press that stencil against the skin. You're going to pounce that sponge to get those stars out nice and pretty and crisp. Okay. Certain colors you can drag the sponge, but I would not suggest it with the white, especially if you're going over other colors. Pouncing is usually the best way to go. So I'm just adding stars all over the areas that I have pigmented. It was a little bit wet. There's some mistakes happen. What you want to be careful with is going over an area of wet paint with a stencil and then dragging that to another part of the face paint and making splotches everywhere. It happens. I actually needed to wipe out a couple areas, or wipe out, yeah, some tiny little mistakes that I made with the baby wipe, and it's okay. There you go. There's the beginning of our stars. It's starting to come together. You can see the galaxy happening before your eyes. I'm using a number 1 low Cornell brush and some white, making sure that consistency is nice and creamy, like heavy whip. That's how it should be. Not too watery, not like half and half too watery, and not too thick like cream cheese, all right? Like if you do that, heavy whip. I'm just adding some little dots all over the place, and you want to make these as random as possible. Don't try and make them in perfect little numbers together, even though it does help to tell yourself, do 3 wherever you go. Do 3 as randomly and sporadically, but at least 3 when you go, and just keep making stars. Don't even think about where you're putting them, just start putting them places. Bam, 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 bam. The more the merrier. If you really don't like some stars in certain places, you know what? Nobody is gonna notice. I do like to put some in the corner of the eye. It extends that face paint even further. Yeah, and use some of that skin area. It's an opportunity to just go a little further and to be artistic and get creative. All right, so just adding those stars around still. It's a large area to paint, so this is the kind of face paint that you want to do when you have a little extra time. I wouldn't recommend doing it with a huge line of kids. You could even just do the one on the right side of the face. You could just do that on both sides and then add the stars, and that would be a galaxy face paint, okay? This is the kind of one that you want to go a little further to impress. Maybe it's for a dance or a fashion show, or it's just for fun, a party, okay? And now I'm already adding those starbursts, and these are the same kind of thing. Don't even think about where you're putting it. The only thing maybe to think about is, are there some areas in the face paint that don't look as good as you would hope them to? Well, you can go to those little spots and add some starbursts on top of those, and that's a really great way to do it. And that is all of the painterly line work that we have going on this face paint. The last thing I'm going to do is add some American Pixie paint onto my design. The one I have on hand is the pink one, so that's the one I'm using, but you can literally use any color. This is a filbert brush, and it's good for just dabbing a little bit of paint on there. This Pixie paint does not work very well if you are trying to manipulate it on top of water activated face paint. I would not recommend that. Just lay it down and let it be. Let it be. Those words of wisdom. This step really does bring it all together, though. That is your last step there for this face paint. Unless there are areas like on my nose that I had to clean up a little bit, but otherwise, that is it. There you have it, your full face asymmetrical galaxy face paint. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time for some more tutorials. Remember to not strive for perfection, but instead expression. I love you guys. You'll have a wonderful day. Happy face paint.